Alright guys, so today I'm going to be teaching you how to do a fakie ollie. This is a really easy beginner trick and it's a good way to start to build into learning lots of other different tricks. In order to make learning this trick as easy as possible, there's really just 3 things that you should know first. The first thing is just to learn how to push switch. So it can be really tempting to push Mongo when you're learning to ride switch, but learning to push switch the correct way is actually going to help you a ton when you're learning how to fakie ollie. So I definitely encourage you to learn how to ride switch and push the correct way. On top of being able to ride switch, the only other thing you really need to know is just how to ollie. All we're doing is basically taking an ollie and doing it while we're rolling backwards, or in other words, rolling fakie. So that's what makes it a fakie ollie. So again, just to break it down, all you're doing is rolling in your regular ollie position, but then you're gonna pop an ollie while rolling backwards. The trick itself is pretty self-explanatory, but there's a few tips that are gonna make it a lot easier. So the first tip is just to start slow. There's no need to rush into it and just bail out on every attempt. Go at a comfortable speed where you're able to, keep your momentum, but definitely you don't need to rush it when you're starting out. The second tip is to add a little bit of extra juice into your pop. Because you're gonna be rolling backwards, your tail will want to stick into the ground. So adding a little bit of emphasis into your pop is gonna make the trick work a lot easier. The third tip to helping you land your fakie ollies is to learn how to adjust your weight. So yes, you are doing an ollie, but because you're rolling backwards, it's not gonna feel exactly the same. A lot of times the board will have a tendency to shoot out either in front of you or behind you. And when this happens, you just need to lean a little bit more in the direction that the board is shooting out. For most people, this is gonna mean that you're gonna want to lean a little bit more onto your sliding foot or your flicking foot rather than onto your popping foot, because the board has a tendency to stick and you have a tendency to fly backwards. Putting just a little bit more weight onto your sliding foot will help you stay over the board. But regardless, the general rule is wherever the board is going, you should lean a little bit in that direction, and that will help you keep the board underneath you. The next tip is just to bend your knees. So once you've popped the board and you've adjusted your weight, the board will want to come up underneath you, but it can't come up unless you create room with it by bending and lifting your knees up. A lot of beginners, when they're starting to ollie and fakie ollie, they're really stiff, and so they can't ollie very high because their own feet are what's keeping the board down. So when you get that crispy pop, don't be afraid to lift up your knees and let the board come up underneath you. So the last thing that you should know is that when you bend your knees to let the board come up, you should always keep your knees bent a little bit as you come down. This creates a cushion, and I like to call it the parachute. Basically, when you're scared to commit to a trick, if you just bend your knees a lot as you come down, even if you bail or something goes wrong, you'll be able to use your knees as a cushion to get out of the trick. It only gets dangerous when you start to stiffen up your knees. So when you're scared to commit to the fakie ollie, bend your knees a little bit extra to give yourself that cushion or that parachute to catch yourself if something does go wrong. Once you know in your head that you've got this parachute to protect you, then you can start to really commit to it, and that's when you'll start to get the hang of this trick. So now I want to give some different tips or approaches to actually practicing this trick. So number 1 is, again, to start slow, but then once you get the hang of it at that speed, just consciously try and speed up by 5%. So every time you feel like you landed a good fakie ollie, go ahead and add about 5 to 10% to your speed until you're going full speed and doing them comfortably. Make sure you start slow and get control of the trick, and then gradually try and add speed and stay in control as you're adding more and more speed. Another tip for practicing this is to do the fakie ollie over a line or a crack or something like that, but basically have something visual that you can do the fakie ollie over. This will help you really start to master the trick so that you can really control it and do it whenever and however you want. Eventually you'll be able to take the trick down stuff, off stuff, over stuff, but that will really be the start to learning how to use this trick in other areas of your skateboarding, is learning to use it at a particular time on command whenever you want to do it. The last thing to finally master this trick, I would say, is learning to do it up and down curbs. It can be really tricky with a fakie ollie, learning to pop it and get the timing right. Start trying to take it down a curb, and then once you can do that, I would suggest trying to do it up a curb. Once you're able to comfortably fakie ollie up and down things, I would say that you've got a pretty dang good hold on this trick. So once you've got fakie ollies down, it's a really good foundational trick to help you learn other tricks. So a few tricks that build really effortlessly off of the fakie ollie are 1, half caps, 2, fakie pop shove it, and 3, fakie kick flips. If you can master fakie ollies, all the rest of those tricks are gonna be a piece of cake. Let me know in the comments below what challenges you're having learning this trick, and I will respond to all of your questions. If this video was helpful for you, if you could drop a like and consider subscribing if you wanna see more trick tip videos just like this one. But that's pretty much it for this video. Make every day a Friday and keep killing it. Peace.